are live. Happy Monday. What's up, everybody? Hopefully, you enjoyed your weekend. My name is Chris, and this is We Love Comics. And yes, your eyes are not deceiving you. I actually bought a couple of spec books, modern books. And I thought I would take the chance on them. It's one of those things I rarely do these days because, for the most part, I really do not enjoy modern books. But as they say, to each their own. But yeah, there's three different boxes and I'll unbox them. And you can decide if that's something that you think you should add to your collection, if you heard about them, if you have them, because I definitely did not pay cover price for these books because I don't go and collect modern books. So I wouldn't have known about any of these books until I started seeing them on eBay. And I can always go into that while more people are finding out that I am live. So, one of the things I always mention now, I do this in every single video. If I get 10 or more super chats of $2 or more from 10 different people during the live show, I will raffle off a pure 90% silver dime to one of the people that contributed the super chat. You'll get one entry for every $2 that you put in. So you could do the $2, you could do more. I leave that up to you because, like I say, the contributions all goes towards helping all of the stray animals that I take care of. So it does go to a good cause. And the winner will I will pay for the shipping and I will ship it anywhere around the world. So if I get 10 of the $2 or more super chats in this live chat, this video and every live video I do, I'll raffle that off. So we'll see if it happens. So we got Chi Tien is here. Says, is this live now? Absolutely is. Only do live videos. Punisher is here. Says Chris just tuned in. Welcome. You came at the right time. That's what she said. Shout out if you want your name up there eventually, but at least shout it out just in case. And you'd like to support my channel, you can go to patreon.com/. We Love Comics. The benefit of doing the paid Patreon account is every paid Patreon member gets early access to any of my auctions that are coming, and I will be doing one soon. That means you will have early access before anybody else sees the books or even knows what books are going to be on the auction. So you have the opportunity, if you so desire, to make an offer on them. And if I accept them, they never go to auction. So you don't have to worry about missing the auction or getting into a bidding war and overspending or getting outbid and losing out entirely on the book. So there are advantages to that. Gary Hahn is here, Mr. G. For those of you who don't know, and he did make it public, so I have no problem mentioning it at this point. He's the gentleman that was kind enough to contact me about these trades. One was already completed. If you don't know what books I sent and what I got, you can check out that video. Gary, if you want to place your Instagram, because he doesn't have a YouTube channel, but I am assuming at some point he will, um, when he opens up his books, post on Instagram what his opinion was of the whole transaction and everything, but I want him to post the link to his Instagram so people can check him out and follow him. So he told me that he did receive the comics. I don't know if he's unboxed them yet, but I guess we'll find out eventually. But he is the kind gentleman that messaged me out of nowhere. And it was actually funny because he sent me an email and he showed me two books. I won't say what the second one was. And if you haven't seen the first one, you can watch the video. And I thought he was just like, because I've had people periodically would message me and show a book that they bought and would ask my opinion. So when he showed the two books, that's what I thought he was doing. I was like, yeah, those are really cool books. I'm jealous. And then he says, would you like to trade for them? Because he said he was going to sell them, but he wanted to give me the opportunity if I was interested in doing a trade. So he said, make a list of all the books, and either you'll have enough to trade for one or both. And I said, I'd love to get both if I can. Made a list of, I think, 30 or 40 total books that I would be willing to trade. And he accepted the first offer, and we just technically finalized the trade because he's still waiting for his book to come back to him. I'm not going to mention what it is, and I'm not going to mention what he traded for until everything is officially official. Um, but I'm very excited to that. So, Gary, thank you so much for that opportunity. You presented me with something. Like I said, even the trade that we're doing for the second book, I didn't even want to argue it at all or try and change it at all because if it wasn't for your kindness, I wouldn't have even had the chance of these books. So, even if you come out majorly ahead, I'm happy for you, and I am I am honored that you trusted me enough because this person sent me a book that was roughly between 12 and $14,000 without knowing who I am, without ever dealing with me before, sending me the book with no money to hold on to it, no books to be sent right away, saying, I will send you the book, I will trust you, and you can mail out your trade afterwards. And that's exactly what I did. And I made sure I made it public when I got the book, and I made sure I sent it out right away. And I'm sure he will attest to the fact that I bomb proofed that package that I sent him. That original book that I got, he wanted, I think, six of my books. Cost me $90 to ship it. So, but I bomb proofed it. And the next trade that we're doing, I won't say what's in it, but he's getting 20 books. So that's probably going to be about $150 to send. So that's going to make me cry, but I'm still not going to complain. So shout out to you, Gary. Much appreciated. So let's put on the video camera so you can see my nice little shaved cue ball of a head. Three modern books. I will tell you, of course, if there is any significance, which when it comes to modern books, you never really know until the end. She says, you've been in this community for 10 plus years. The trust is here. Thank you. Um, I appreciate that. I'm sure there are many other people in the YouTube community that will disagree with that because they've made rumors and stories about me, which actually ruined my reputation unfairly. But I really appreciate that. And that meant a lot. And I was not going to let him down. I made sure I kept in constant communication, sent him, I think, two different pictures of the package itself, the tracking number. I sent it the next day. If somebody's going to trust me, I'm going to make sure their trust is not, you know, put in vain. Because the last thing I ever want is when somebody says they're going to do something and they not only not do it, but they don't have the courtesy to at least let you know. That irks me. And I could never do that to somebody. Because if I say I'm going to, like, for example, mail out a book, if for some reason I can't mail it out, I don't just disappear and don't let the person know while they're expecting it to be out a certain day. I let them know because it's just the right thing to do. So it means a lot that somebody did that because trust is one thing, but to send a 12 to $14,000 book in the mail to somebody you don't know and somebody you've never done business with, and the only reason you know them is because you watch a YouTube video, and they mail it out to you sight unseen that you're going to do the right thing. That takes a lot of, I guess, chutzpah would be the right word. But Gary, when you get the chance in the comment section here, anything you want to put about that whole transaction, I'd love to hear from your side. I wish you did make YouTube videos because I would have loved to have seen you do an unboxing. I'm sure many people would love to see the books, but you have your Instagram account. I do not have Instagram, but hopefully he will share his link. All right, so here's the first book. It looks pretty much perfect. This is one that, I didn't know about it when it first came out because, like I said, I don't collect new books, so I'm not going to find out until secondhand. But this one is a variant, so I wouldn't have probably gotten in the stores anyway. Let's see. Gary Hahn says, Chris, definitely. Oh, let me move this so I could see it. So Gary Hahn is the one that I did the trade with. So Chris, definitely bomb-proofed the books. Arrived safe and all is good. I'll post the books on Instagram soon. Yeah, as soon as you do, post the link. And also in here, post the link to your Instagram so people can follow you even before you post that and see what you have to do. So I don't know if you sell books on your Instagram or anything, but I definitely want to give you the shout out so you can have people, maybe new customers. I can't promise you thousands of people will follow you based on my viewership, but hey, if you get one more, hey, one more sale sometimes is better than not one. So thank you for sharing that. And yeah, if you ever show some pictures of the uh, my bomb proofing, that would be great. All right, so here's the first book. So this is Ultimate Spider-Man #1. Really hot series for a while. I don't know if it's still retaining its hotness or not, but I actually, it's one of the first modern books I've read in a long time because I think, either the second or third print. I did not ever get the first print, at least the cover A anyway. But this is the 1 in 500 Virgin variant from J. Scott Campbell. So I always love how he draws the women, but the men, not so much. But that's just my opinion. Art is speculative. I'd love to hear what you think about it. But this definitely has 9.8 potential. So this is a 1 in 500. Now, I saw this months ago, or maybe a year ago, because I think this came out last year. I've seen these as high as $500, $600 when it first came out. Person was selling this for 99.99, so $100 or best offer. So I took the chance, offered them $50. They accepted it. So it was free shipping, so with taxes, it came out to $53.50. So for me to get Ultimate Spider-Man #1, which is a really good story, I'd love to hear your thoughts if you've read it, with the 1 in 500 variant. Now, if you're not familiar with variants, why, if somebody says, well, why is it 1 in 500? Well, for a comic store to be able to get that one comic, they would have had to have purchased 500 of the regular cover. And especially with the way the economy these days are, most smaller comic book stores are not going to be able to buy 500 books just to have the privilege of that one book. So the 1 in 500 is going to be very hard to get, or at least harder to get, because the smaller stores are just not going to carry them. They're going to have the 1 in 10s, the 1 in 15s, maybe a 1 in 25, and every rare occasion a 1 in 25. 1 in 500s are really harder to get. So I figured for 53 bucks, you definitely couldn't go wrong with that. What is it? Street Good is Good says, what is your IG, Gary, so I could check you out? See, there you go. You already have potential customer or potential viewer. So, Gary, when you get the chance, post your Instagram and you can put it in the comment section also when this uploads, and I will pin it to the top. So this way, anybody that's interested can check it out. And I always encourage people to join the chats, even if it's not live. You know, post a comment. I read everyone and I respond to everyone. I don't get many. You know, remember, once a YouTube channel gets too big, it's impossible for them to reply to comments. So I'm actually glad in that sense that my channel actually got really slow because people destroyed my reputation years ago. And now I can respond to all the comments. All right. Again, another modern book. Looks like a 9.8 potential. And this is the funny thing about this book. Like I've said, for those of you who know me, I collect Grail books, key books, things like that. And I have no interest in any more since probably I think I stopped collecting modern books around 2019. I was just really done at that point. Maybe I got between 2019 and 2020, maybe a couple of them I would get online, but I wasn't going to comic book stores here. But the stories just got way too messagey, and it's just not my style, so I just gave up on them. And for every one book that was a Walking Dead, you had 10,000 that would be some generic comic that no one cares about that you couldn't even sell in a 25-cent bin. So it just wasn't worth it to spend all of that money to take the chance. Now, of course, if you're buying modern books to read them, then you cannot go wrong. So I just don't read modern books. I just don't like them. I tried, but that's why I like the Ultimate Spider-Man #1 because I like the story. But this book, I was doing what I normally do, going on eBay, looking for newly listed books. And this book, because it was a specific color, and you'll know it as soon as you see it probably, um, it just kept popping up in the newly listed. And I didn't pay attention to it for a couple of days. And then after a couple of days of seeing it again and again and again, I was like, you know what? Let me click on it and see what this book is. Because it was a bright color. It stood out in the tiny little thumbnails as you scroll by. And I saw that this book was getting really expensive really quick. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to take the chance on it. I definitely did not spend the cover price, which is $3.99, which actually I'm surprised. I would have thought modern books would have been $4.99 and $5.99 by now, maybe even $6.99 with inflation. So I'm actually surprised this is a $3.99 book. But I like the cover. I like the hype. It could fizzle out and become nothing, or it could end up being, the next Invincible or something like along that lines. The next Bone series. You never know. So it's worth taking the chance on. Let me know what you think. So I got myself Dork #1, and they call it Dork because it's half dwarf, half orc. Now this caught the comic book world by surprise. They're already working on a third print. Now this just came out, I think, last month. The first print sold out the day it came out. when they did pre-orders for the second print, they pre-ordered only 25,000 copies and it sold out in one day. So I don't know how much the pre-orders were for the third print, but if the second print was only 25,000 and that's after it got popular, you're talking this book is probably 10,000, 7,000, between probably 7 and 12,000 for this book. Because remember, when you're talking a brand new number one book, especially comic book stores, when they have to buy, each month thousands of different comic books, they're not going to buy hundreds of a brand new book. So they may have had probably 5 copies, 10 copies, maybe some got 25. And it was so caught off guard and how quickly it sold out that they had to immediately make another print run. Which means cover A, especially, I mean, there's variants as well, but those are expensive. Cover A is going to be harder and harder to get. And until we know the print run, I would assume between 7,000 and 12,000, I think would probably be the right amount, considering that when they realized the hype and it went into a second print, there was pre-orders of 25,000. So this is definitely going to be something that was really underprinted and very desirable. Now, when it comes to speculation, especially with newer books that don't have an established character, this could fade into nothingness. So you have to be very careful because of the fact that it could rise up, but like a firecracker, it can explode and then drop down to the ground. It can also shoot off to the moon and keep going. So you don't know. So, like I said, I wasn't going to get this in the comic book store because I don't collect modern books, so I wasn't going to pay anywhere near cover price. I had to go with what the current market was at the time I saw this. So I paid with shipping and handling and taxes $80.25 for this book. Some people might laugh at that because they probably bought it at the comic book store, but I figured I wasn't going to get it at the store. I wasn't going to know about it. I took the chance on it. Um, Remember, at one time, Invincible number one, you could have bought for $25, could have bought for $100, and somebody might have laughed at you then. But that book's worth, I mean, especially a 9.8, 4 or 5 grand. So would it end up being that? Who knows? Worth taking the chance on? Remains to be seen. But the good part is, if it doesn't work out, I didn't spend $10,000 on the book, so I'm not going to go bankrupt. Will I be thrilled I lost $80? No, but it's not going to make me have to sell my house or, sell my wife into slavery so I can afford to pay my debt. That's why it pays to take the chance. So let me see. Some of the things says street good is good. Says the ash can is going for 200, which they had a Midtown for free. Brian Hood, good to see you. One of my moderators and one of my Patreon members said Ultimate Batman number one. That's another one I missed. But I have a feeling with so many different Batman issues, I have a feeling that one will probably have a more likely chance of fizzling out over time. This is at least a new character. Because I saw Ultimate Batman number ones, but like I said, I remember when I bought Legend of Batman with the 5 different colors, and they were like, oh, it's the first Batman's new original Batman since the 30s or whatever. And that ended up being a bunch of nothing. So, but Ultimate Batman says number one, NYCC Tech 27 homage, only 800 copies made. I have a 9.8, paid $200, and mine is a 9.8. Nice. I knew that was a winner. Hey, when you're talking stuff with lower copies, um, that could be something worth taking the chance on. I just figured Ultimate Batman, it's just another Batman run. So I don't think it'll have long term. I could be wrong, but they wanted like $200 for the cover A I've been seeing, and that's just too much for me for a new book. So I post that one as I missed out. So let me see. Brian Hood said it sells for 800 now. Nice. So I guess the key is, do you say to yourself, is that as high as it's going to go? Should I sell it now and take the chance? Or do I hold on to it and hope that it continues to go up, but could also fizzle down? Because remember, when everybody is worried about that character from Daredevil. It was Daredevil number 9, that deaf character. I saw that book for 9.8 selling for $1,000. You couldn't even give that book away anymore. I forget her name, and that shows how how wonderful that character was in the world of Marvel. So you have to say to yourself, is it worth taking the chance to see if it'll keep going? because sometimes you'll sell, but look at it this way. Any profit is a good profit. But I remember, like, for example, I sold my Edge of Spider-Verse 2, the 1 in 25 variant, the Greg Land variant. I love that cover. I only had one copy. It came back. I bought it. I didn't buy it raw, but I paid like 96 bucks for it. And it came back a 9.8 CGC. And that was when I was sending books to CGC back in like 2017, 2018. And I sold it at my flea market when I was back in 2019 when I first moved to Florida. I actually had a flea market business. Somebody bought it for me, I think either 1,200 or $1,500. And I was happy because I spent 96 and sold it for around 1,200 to $1,500. But that book now is like a $6,000 book. But I still made good money on it. So you got to sometimes wonder, is that book going to fizzle out and then I lose everything? Or does it keep going? It's hard to say. Sometimes you just got to trust your instincts. Let's see. SPC Comics got a live manufacturer. Harris Man 99 says, Dork number one, the subject of much controversy on YouTube right now. Controversy? Let's do tell. Some are claiming market manipulation, but I feel the same as you. I took the chance on it as well. Um, that would not shock me if some of the larger comic book collaborators, who are also, by the way, comic store owners, would manipulate or potentially manipulate comics by hiding a bunch of them. I'm not going to say anybody's doing that because I don't know. This is the first I'm hearing about that because I don't follow drama. That's just childish. You do that when you're in kindergarten and first grade. I don't understand that people that are adults do that in the comic book community, but they seem to love it because those channels all get a hell of a lot more than mine as far as views. So people love dramas. There are definitely some channels where they love self-admit that they're trolls and they love to harass people, and yet people say they hate it, but those kind of people get thousands of views. But it is what it is. All right, this person sent a note. Let's see what they wrote. Dear secret admirer. No. Says, thank you for your purchase. I am a new comic creator myself. That's nice. I included a copy of my first issue of my comic. I had some paintings that had covers that were less than perfect, but the interior is still great and it's free. Haha. I hope you read it and like it. We are working on our fourth issue now. This will help fund it along with the Kickstarter we're currently running. If you like it, you could check it out, and I'll give them. I'm going to share this because that's really nice of them. I haven't seen the comic. Um, check it out more. It's stealthhammer.com. And it says thanks again. I think it says Ryan. So I'm going to share this really quick. So he's got a Kickstarter. I don't know what the comic is because I haven't seen it yet. But if you want to support this person, you have a chance to leave a message. Tell them We Love Comics sent you because that is cool. Let's see. Brian Hood says, so I should take the money and run. I've been thinking about it. Well, I'm not going to give you financial advice because the reason I won't do that is this reason. If I told you to sell today and you sold it, and then 6 months from now, that book's a $5,000 book, you're not going to be too thrilled with me. Or if I told you to hold on to it, and 6 months from now, you can't give it away for $10, you're going to be mad at me. This is the advice I will give you. Trust your instincts. Trust here, not here. Your head will always give you doubt and make you confused and give you 700 different scenarios. Trust here. Whatever your heart tells you feels right, do that, and you will never be wrong. But the only advice I can give you is any profit is good profit. So if you're okay with the fact that if you, let's say you could sell it for 800, you spent two, and let's say you could sell it for 800. If you're happy with a $600 profit, then I would recommend to sell now. If you're okay with a $600 profit, even if 5 years from now that's a $5,000 book, then sell now. If you want to take the chance it could be a $5,000 book, hold it. If you think it's going to drop, definitely sell it. I can't tell you what to think and how to feel. I don't have a future crystal ball. I don't know where it's going to go. It has many different directions. So, better, if it were me, sometimes it's better to take the chance when you have profit so you don't have to worry about it dropping And you could live with the fact that even though it went higher, you still made money. Like my example with my Edge of Spider-Verse 2, the 1 in 25 Greg Land variant. I bought it for about either $93 or $96. I sold it for either 1,200 or 1,500. It went up as high as around 5, 6 grand. So I missed out between 1,200 and 5,000, but from 96 to 1,500, I still made money. So go with what you think it is, because yes, it is a tough one. So you have to trust your gut. Because remember, for every book that succeeds, there are plenty that end up failing, even that were successful. Like I said, that Daredevil number 9 and 10, the first appearance of that deaf character that they tried to modernize Marvel with, that book in a 9.8 I saw selling for anywhere from $1,200 to $2,000. You can't give away that book anymore. So if somebody spent $200 on that book, they saw it go up to 1,200 and decided, you know what, I'm going to try and get every penny I can, and held on to it. Now that book, you can't give it away for $50. So I'm not saying use fear as a motivation, but always understand that that is a possibility. So that's why I can't tell you specifically what you should do. Only you know. Trust your instinct. You do know if you sell now, you're locked in to make a profit, but you may not get the ultimate profit. But it keeps it from dropping to where you again end up with a loss. So hopefully that will help. All right, so let's first show they have a Kickstarter book, and they were nice enough to send me I guess, an original copy. So that's cool. So let's see what that is. I think they put it in the back of this. Oh, for a person that's doing their own Kickstarter, this is a really nice looking book. Well, let's see. So this person, I don't know if anybody's ever heard of this before, but that's this person's own book. It's a Kickstarter comic. That looks really, I was expecting something like hand drawn or something. Now, if that person ever watches my channel, I'm going to give you a little marketing ploy. Price tag of $5. Do not put $5. Put $4.99. Because $4.99 seems cheaper than $5, even though it's only a 1 penny difference. That's why a person will see a gas station. One across the street says $5 a gallon. Thank God it's not that anymore. But across the street says $4.99. People will instinctively go to $4.99 because it looks cheaper. And that's why you'll see a sale, like for, let's say something is on sale, instead of $100, if you say $99.99, it just seems more economical in a person's head. So if that person, if anybody message them or that person ever sees this, I would highly recommend changing that from $5 to $4.99. But this is issue number 1, cover A of a book called Stealth Hammer. So this isn't the one I bought. That's just something nice that that person included. So I'm going to put that in the bag, and I'm actually going to keep that note. So that's really nice of them they did that. So, but here is the book. And again, 9/8 potential. Actually, it's got a little bend in the corner. So it definitely won't be a 9/8 potential. That's a shame. That was not mentioned, but you know, it is what it is. But it's got some potential. I don't know if that's a color break increase or it's just a wrinkle that could be pressed out. So it might be a 9/6, but it is what it is. Somebody actually mentioned it. I got the Dork number 1 Ash Can, which is a preview that they were giving away for free, but it ended up, I did not get it for free. And I paid about what you were saying price-wise. Looks like I ripped off the price tag. So I think, let me tell you, I think it's $218 altogether that I paid for this book. I figured if the second print of the first one is 25,000 copies, and the first print is probably between 7,000 and 12,000 copies, I'm assuming that this ash can is probably anywhere between 500 and maybe 2,000 copies. If anybody knows a print run of this book, let me know. I don't think there is one, but let me show the price that I paid for it. Well, at least I'll tell you, because I know with shipping and handling and taxes, I paid $218.55, which is about the going rate. So with this book, I am taking the chance on it. But this would be the creme de la creme if this book becomes something that is a great story and continues on for 100, 200, 300 issues. Will it have that power? Who knows? But I do like the artwork. I like the character. The name, it sticks with you. And you can see here, there is a little bit of a ding there. Again, I don't know if that's a color break increase or a wrinkle, but hey, wouldn't this be funny if it ended up that this book doesn't end up being much, and this book that was given to me ends up being the next Invincible or something? So again, I want to give a shout out because that's really nice of them. Um, it's a first issue of their comic. Um, it's stealthhammer.com, and his name, I believe it says Ryan. But again, I want to give a shout out. So if you want to check out and support his Kickstarter, and if you're able to leave a message to say We Love Comics sent you, that's the comic. So that's really nice of him. So I'm actually going to put that in a separate bag and board, and I'm going to include that letter in there because you know what? If this ends up becoming a really popular book and becomes very valuable, who knows? That'd be cool to have the creator have a nice signed letter specifically for me. So that's really nice of him. Very unexpected. And I'll tell you honestly, let me know your opinion of that. I really like the cover. It was when he was saying it was a Kickstarter and something that somebody started on their own. I wasn't expecting it to be as nice as this. So what's the name of the? It's just a symbol. It doesn't say what the name of the company is or the artist. So who knows? Maybe they'll watch my channel one day and they'll give me more information. So there we go. So those are the three books. We did not get the 10 super chats, so unfortunately there will be no silver dime this time. But every single live chat that I do from here on out, if I get 10 or more super chats of $2 or more from 10 different people, I will raffle off a 90% silver dime that I will ship anywhere around the world and I will pay for the shipping and handling. Didn't have any this time, but that's okay. Let's see. Brian Hood says, I think you say in terms of buying modern comics, sometimes you feel like a nut, sometimes you don't. Uh, I don't think I've ever said that, but I do feel like a nut sometimes. You know, you have to live in this world. You can't be otherwise. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So today's surprise subscriber shout outs. Brian Hood, you are one. SPC Comics, you are two. You know what? Let's give it to everybody because I don't have a lot of viewers. So Harrier Man 99, shout out to you. Street Good is Good. Chai TN. See if there's anybody else. Collector's Inventory. Gary Hahn, of course, the person I did that amazing trade with and looking forward to the next trade. And Punisher 6654. All of you are today's surprise subscriber shout outs. So when this video uploads, if any of you would be kind enough to leave a comment into the comment section, especially you, Gary, if you are still here watching, please, if you can, share your experience with our trade and also make sure you put your Instagram link into the comment section so people can check out your Instagram. And last but not least, just got here, Who Dat Comics. Hello, my friend. He's one of my moderators. I am subscribed to Who Dat. He is a very good guy. Comes from the swamplands of Louisiana and does some great content. He sells comics and everything. So I will say, as a personal favor, go check out his video. Well, his multiple amounts of videos. And he says, "Damn, I missed the live show again." Hey, but you know, as they say, better late than never. But if you ever want to watch it on the rewind, who dat? Well, I got you on. Were you able to see the video of the trade I got for that Grail comic? Because if not, I'll show it to you real quick and save you the trouble for having to listen to me for about 45 minutes. So I'll wait for your response before I end the video because I appreciate when he shows up. If he hasn't seen it, I'll show it. So I'll give him a chance. I don't know, I might get a copyright. Well, this is what I'll do, just in case, Who Dat, if you are still here, and anybody that wants to see, this is the book I just acquired recently, thanks to Gary Hahn. Wonder Woman issue number 1. It is complete. It is unrestored. No coupons missing. It is a 1.0 brittle pages, but that's perfect in an encapsulated comic. It is split cover, completely detached, but I don't care. Again, in a slab, you don't notice those things. And it is also with a certificate of authenticity. I have never heard of it, but the Southern Belle collection. Never thought I would own this book in my lifetime. Same thing with the next book we are trading for. I will not share what that is. You'll just have to watch that in a video. So that is the book I just recently got. Absolutely love it. And say it with me, ladies and gentlemen. Low grade is better than no grade. Yeah, that's from the trade. And I also show in the video of all, I traded 6 books for that book. So if you want to know which ones those are, obviously I can't show you because they're now in the possession of Gary at this point. They just arrived the other day. But I have another trade that I'm going to be doing with him for my personal White Whale Grail. And if you've been watching my channel, you should probably have an idea of what that book is. It's a book I've never owned. It is a first appearance of a major comic book character. It is a book that I've always wanted, never even held in my hand. And it is a restored copy, which I knew, but I'm perfectly fine with it because, ladies and gentlemen, low grade is better than no grade. And right below me are the 20 books that he wants. So once he sends me that book, I'm going to do a video first doing the unboxing. He hasn't gotten it because what happened was it was originally, I'll give this much, it was in a CBCS case. I won't give the grade, but it was color touch on the cover and glue along the spine. So he cracked it open and got the glue professionally removed. He was going to remove the color touch, but they said it would ruin the cover and it wouldn't look as nice. So I know it has the color touch and I'm perfectly fine with that. You know, if somebody has an Action Comics #1 and you're lucky enough to get it, you're not going to care if it has color touch or anything. So this book has color touch, but they did professionally remove the glue. So it's ungraded, but you guys know me. I have my deal with PGX where I can send 4 books in every month to get graded, pressed, dry cleaned, signature verification if need be, and graders notes added on the back. So just imagine if for some reason I get that book pressed, because I know Daniel Patterson, the owner of PGX, who I talked to, and we've talked many times on the phone. If I asked him if he could spend a little extra time on the pressings, if he is able to somehow pump it up to a point 0.5 higher than what the grade is, that would be amazing. I mean, if it stays the same grade, I'm not worried about it. But I'm trading 20 comics for that book. There are a lot of keys that he wanted, and I'll put it straight out. If anybody else asked for this trade, I would have most likely either declined or tried to take away a book or two. But because Gary was nice enough to contact me out of the blue, didn't ask for anything, sent me the book, the first book, which is the Wonder Woman #1. Like I said, this is about a $12,000 to $14,000 book. This person, without ever dealing with me before, never bought on any of my auctions, I don't believe, but doesn't know me other than watching me on YouTube, said, I'm going to send you this book. And you, once you get it, you can send the books that I want. You don't have to send me any money. You don't have to do anything. And for a person like that to be that kind and that trusting, whatever I said, as long as the trade that he wants is within a specific amount of money that I paid for them, if it's under that amount, I'm going to accept the trade no matter what it is. And the best part is, of the 20 comics he wanted, 13 out of the 20 I have multiple copies of. So 13 of the 20 comics, even though I'm trading them, I will still have in my collection, if that makes sense. You have to trade good stuff to get good stuff. Like I said, the only thing that's really going to kill me is it's probably going to cost about $150 to $200 to mail it. And I'm not exactly loaded up on the cash these days. That's why I'm doing the trade. But I also want to inspire people to show that you don't have to rely just on money to be able to get the things you want. And that's why I was saying before that don't always go by this, because this will tell you you can't do stuff and it'll disappoint you. It'll get you depressed. It'll make you doubt yourself. This right here, your heart will always steer you in the right direction. There are always ways to acquire things. Now, I'm not talking about stealing it or taking advantage of somebody or doing something dishonest. I'm talking about there are more ways than just buying things. Because if I had to pay cash for this book, I'm not getting it because I don't have 12,000 in my bank account or even in my PayPal credit account to acquire this book, let alone Also getting the other book, which is again roughly about as of now about a $12,000 book. Trade made it happen. Gary made that happen, and I really appreciate that. So who that says anything of the big three, as long as I have the book, I don't care, restored or etc. Exactly. There are some people that'll just be, I cannot have restored, I cannot have this, I cannot have that. You know, to each their own. But like, for example, people know I had um Superman #2. That was one of the ones I traded for this book. When I bought it, the seller, they weren't the original owner, but the seller thought that the cover was facsimile. So when I bought that book, I bought it thinking that it was a facsimile cover because I have several books that were um, coverless that have facsimile covers. But I still have the video up to this day. This was back when I was still living in New York. I remember when I unboxed it, I'm looking at the cover and I'm like, if this is a facsimile cover, it is a master duplicate because it does not look like a facsimile. And it ended up that it was not a facsimile. The only reason that the person may have thought it was is somebody at some point took a yellow highlighter and just colored in the yellows and reglossed it. So they assumed that it was a facsimile cover and ended up being a real cover. But I have, like, for example, 3 copies of Batman 59, the first appearance of Deadshot. My first one I bought was a coverless copy. I don't care. I still own it. My showcase #4 is not a completely coverless, but it's missing the front cover. I'm perfectly fine with that. But they say, to each their own. This, it's a 1.0. It's got a split, not on the comic itself, but just the cover. Front cover and back cover are detached. This is about a $12,000 to $14,000 book. Now, he got between $12,000 and $14,000 worth of comics. So it's a fair, even trade. But this is what I paid for it as far as what I paid for the comics that I traded. This is why I tell people it pays to make deals and try and find deals because then if you have to trade or sell your books, you can actually do very well. So ultimately, for a $12,000 book, and that's including the shipping it cost me, which was $90, I paid $3,875 for Wonder Woman #1 in a 1.0. Who's going to get that now? And again, if I would have paid cash for this, it would have cost me $12,000, $13,000, $14,000 plus taxes if it was on eBay, plus shipping, because I'm sure people are going to want extra money on a very expensive book to make sure it's insured. But because I was very wise in my trades, not in my trades, wise in my purchases of comics, getting deals, I bought comics at great prices. Like one of the books I traded for that book, besides the Superman #2, was my Invincible #1 first print, which was a 9.8 signed by Robert Kirkman. Now, when I bought that book, if you guys remember, I bought that book. It was a CGC 9.8, but it was a green label because whoever sent it in, that book was already signed and either didn't know or didn't care because everybody's told CGC is the #1 grading company. So that person might have assumed, well, a green label is better than a verified label of some other company, which is not true because I only paid like 500 and something dollars for that book. Cracked it open, resubmitted it to PGX, came back the same 9.8 it was. But now it had a verified signature. The green label is what killed it because nobody else bid on it at the time. Now, I bought that either 2019, probably 2020 or 2021. The video's up somewhere if somebody wants to find it. And I show it in the CGC 9.8. But because of the fact it was a green label, nobody touched it. But because I know more about comics than the general person on eBay, I knew that that was a steal because I remember that book was about $1,000 book at the time in a CGC 9.8 blue label. I got it for about half price because of the green label. Cracked it open, resubmitted it, still came back a 9.8. But you have to trade good books to get good books. And I'm not going to mention the other books that I traded for it because he might have that on his Instagram and he might want other people to check it out. So hopefully my videos will inspire people. hopefully people will not give up or think, oh, well, I don't have the money, therefore I can't get stuff. Well, I don't have the money to buy that book, and yet I have it. I definitely don't have the money to buy the next book that's coming when he sends it, when he gets it himself. It probably in the next couple of days, the person that he sent it to is going to send it back to him so he could mail it to me. So probably 2 or 3 weeks, I'll have that book. I wouldn't have been able to afford that book if it was only on cash. But if you get especially duplicates of books, like I say to people all the time, if you make deals, you can end up benefiting from even a trade where somebody else gets better technical amounts of the value of the book. Because, for example, if I traded him, like we traded, he picked the books. I made a list of like 30 to 40 comics. So he picked what he wanted. It wasn't like I said, here, I only am willing to trade these books. I gave him a list of like 30 to 40 books. He picked 6 of them that he wanted. Now, if I would have paid full value of those comics, then we'd just be doing it every in every way, shape, or form an even swap. Now, I don't know what he paid for the Wonder Woman #1. I doubt he paid 12,000 for it, but I don't know. But let's say he paid 12,000 for his book, and let's say all of my comics I paid 12,000 altogether for because I paid fair market value. Well, we're just doing an even swap at that point. Value for value, but neither one of us is benefiting other than getting a book that they might have preferred, or maybe it was easier for him to sell 6 lower grade, like lower books than one really valuable, expensive book. I wanted to diversify. That's why even the second trade, even though it's a little bit more than I would normally accept from anybody, but if it wasn't for his kindness, I mean, I gladly accepted it, is I'm diversifying. I'm stopping diversifying because I'm trading 20 books, which takes up a lot of room, consolidating it into one. So I'm actually consolidating. So for me, that's beneficial. But for him, even though the book that he's trading he could sell easily, he could probably in the long run make a lot more money selling all of these separately. And I know that when I sent it, when I'm doing this trade, I know that in the end he's going to make out financially on these books. It's just going to take a little while longer. And I'm okay with that. But everybody has their reasons. Don't assume and don't let what I call the negative Nancy's, whether they're popular, whether they have lots of views or whatever, don't let them discourage you. Don't let them think, oh, the economy's so bad and the comic industry's so bad and the market's so bad and you'll never get this and you'll never get that. If you want to listen to those people, by all means do, but ask yourself, why would you want to? When you could see somebody like me who doesn't have millions of dollars in his bank account, who wasn't born with a silver spoon in his mouth, who doesn't have thousands of dollars on disposal to buy anything at any given moment, and yet, after about 10 years of building up my collection, I went from an okay collection that nobody would really care about to one where people are looking and saying, you got some really good stuff. That didn't happen overnight, and it didn't happen because I had $12,000 cash and bought a $12,000 book. I was able to acquire a $12,000 book for what ultimately cost me less than 4,000 because that's what I paid in the books I traded for. And yet the person that gets the books is getting the $12,000 to $14,000 value of those books because it doesn't matter what somebody pays for them, it matters what they're worth. Because remember, somewhere along the line somebody spent 10 cents on Action Comics #1. So if your great grandfather bought Action Comics #1 in the comic book store or at the local store for 10 cents, it doesn't matter that he paid 10 cents. He's going to probably sell it for $1 or $2 million. And the person buying it is not going to expect him to turn around and say, well, you paid 10 cents for the book. I'll give you 100% more. I'll give you 20 cents. Not going to happen. So it's not based on what you pay for it. It's based on what it's worth. But on my end, I'm basing it on the fact that I was able to take $3,700 worth of comics that I knew would increase in value, and they stretched out to around the 12 to 14,000, if not more range. And I didn't have to spend all of that extra money to be able to acquire a much better book that I would have never acquired in my lifetime, unless I won the lottery. So anyway, I am rambling at this point. I know most people hate that. Most of you are either asleep or potentially wanting to shoot yourself, and I don't want anybody to do that. So I'm going to end this painlessly by telling you all to hit the like button or dislike, subscribe or unsubscribe. You can critique the AI art, good, bad, or indifferent. And ladies and gentlemen, don't forget, it's not you, it's not I, it's We Love Comics. And Who Dat says, what is his Instagram so I can follow him? I actually do not know. I've encouraged him a couple of times to put a link to his Instagram on here, and he has not yet to do it. So hopefully he will when the video uploads, and I will pin it to the comment section so you guys will have to check out later. He did not post it in the live chat. And since I don't have Instagram, I don't have any of that information. So as soon as he posts it, I will pin it to the top of the comments section because I want to give him business. When somebody does something nice for you, do something nice back. And if everybody did that in the world, it'd be a much better place. So, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for watching. Thanks for your viewership. Go check out Who Dat Comics as well. Tell him We Love Comics sent you. Go check out his videos. And ladies and gentlemen, don't forget to have your trolls spayed or neutered. I'll see you next video, everybody.